Orally transmitted teachings, Ongi Kuden, in Japanese on Buddhism Lesson 17 Karma, one of the fundamental notions of Buddhism, can only be understood through its definition, its individualistic character. However, there is an exception. Definition of karma, an ancient notion of Indian culture, is a Sanskrit word whose kr is also at the origin of the verb to create that the Enlightened One Buddhistically introduced into Buddhism. In the Buddhist system, karma is an act performed to maintain and perpetuate a sense of self. Karma appears as a conditioned act, in that it is the product of previous causes and conditions. Therefore, the effect of karma is deferred in time. It can manifest itself in the short, medium, long term or not necessarily during this existence, but in future lives. During all this time, the act, rather than disappearing, remains marked in the mind. By virtue of the Buddhist determinism which holds that good leads to good, evil marries evil, a favorable act will produce a pleasant result, an unfavorable act, an unpleasant effect. Of the individuality of karma in principle, karma is individual, everyone is responsible for his or her own doing. One of the major characteristics of karma is its individuality. The motivated act, endowed with efficacy, can only be the act of a person and not of a community. Buddhism rejects any idea of a collective karmic phenomenon, any general category. For example, the Roman conception of collective responsibility or vendetta in certain societies, the Canonian Fours in part of Albania, could not thrive in Buddhism. Everyone is responsible for their own acts. This principle, a cornerstone of criminal law, which has become universal, fits very well with the religion of awakening. When a group of people perform the same category of actions collectively and concomitantly, in fact it is each of the people who acts and assumes alone with regard to the karmic law. His complicity in the actions of the other members of the group is a mental act for which he will answer alone. This is why the idea of a collective karmic punishment suffered by an entire people, a community that has collectively committed a fault in the past, is anti-Buddhist. It should be noted that the individuals who make up a people at a given time are different from those that make it up in another era. Since karma is personal, one cannot pay for the acts perpetrated by others in the past. The rejection of any idea of a creative being setting himself up as an accountant and sanctioning force for our actions. The law of causality, which is one of the founding principles of Buddhism, makes foreign to the religion of enlightenment any idea of a creator to whom we would be accountable for our actions and who would distribute good and bad points. Case study: let's say that a group of individuals commit a blood crime in a group. In relation to some of them, it may be parricide. Now parricide is one of the 6 cardinal sins that engender hell with incessant suffering for its author. Compared to others, it may be a simple murder. Still others can only be involved in the process, in particular at the level of preparatory acts. Obviously, the retribution will not be the same for the last 2 categories of criminals. The exception, the karma common to all bodhisattvas and female bodhisattvas, the mission to propagate Buddhist law in the time of Mapo. The only mission worthwhile in the age of Mapo, the karma common to all practitioners, is the mission entrusted in the 22nd chapter of the Lotus Sutra to the multitude of bodhisattvas and female bodhisattvas on earth as numerous as the grains of sand of 60,000 Ganges, to spread the law in the age of Mapo. So, the real karma that we bodhisattvas and female bodhisattvas have in common is to propagate Buddhism. The idea of collective karma conceived as a stimulant, however, sometimes, it can happen that a community, association, or any group faced with a challenge, ends up evoking the existence of a common karma, the overcoming of which would lie in the union, self-denial, excellence in work. This is conceivable, can be tolerated, if this idea of karmic community is a leaven that will raise the dough of liberation from the sufferings of birth and death in the last instance. Illustration: it often happened that the president of the Soka Gakkai International, Mr. Ikeda, mentioned the organization's karma every time it entered a new turning point or was in the grip of difficulties. This is to push the practitioners of the Lotus Sutra to engage even more in the voice of practice and study while strengthening their faith in the Lotus Sutra, a guarantee of a certain cessation of our suffering. After ingesting this educational capsule, it will be possible for you to deepen your knowledge on this theme by referring to my sutras or writings of a Buddha, in Sanskrit, where it is developed at length. These sutras are available in French, the original version, in American English and in German in paperback and Kindle books on all Amazon sales sites. Regarding the Amazon KDP links to my sutras, please refer to my TikTok or Facebook profiles or even to Lesson 11 of my teachings. All my videos are compiled on my 3 YouTube channels, Kosen Rufu TV, English Kosen Rufu TV and Kosen Rufu Well. For the links to these channels, see my bio or type the title of the channel of your choice in the Google search bar.